All right, good morning, you guys. It is June 1st. It is Thursday. Let's see, yesterday I started at like, I guess, 5:45, and then I would say the conference, I got there around 8. So I started at 8 and then finished at 7. That was long. And it was just, man, the information I've been getting is just so awesome. Can't wait to share it. And then obviously we're going to get today's activities. I got up extra early this morning because I want to get my workout in earlier, because yesterday was cutting it close. I want to have more time to just kind of, do my thing and just kind of enjoy the workout instead of being rushed. That being said, oh yeah, last night I was like, well, I went to Watercourse Foods. I'm telling you, I mean, I can't help but, include that in this video. I mean, I could probably make a whole separate video on that, and I may do that. But that place is, that sundae I had yesterday, the ice cream sundae, unbelievable. So anyway, the point is that it was like around 10 o'clock last night, and I was winding down, and I was just like, I just laid down on a pillow just to rest for a second. I woke up like 4 hours later, and I was like, the lamp was still on, and I was like, wow, that means I was tired. Which is fine, but I feel fine now. Stay tuned for some awesome content, guys. We're going to get more interviews. I'm really happy about the interviews I was able to capture yesterday. And also I'm breaking up this video into days, which is going to be helpful too. So, it's not like one long video. So, thank you guys, and keep watching. Just keep it rolling. Because
I wonder how you respond to...
First question is, what were the health parameters? You kind of answered it with the blood pressure, and, because you were looking for harmful effects, and that would be no harmful effects would be the worst case scenario, and beneficial would be the best case. So I was wondering, what were some of the other parameters, like blood glucose and triglycerides? The second question is, what was the earliest and latest time frame that was classified as nighttime protein ingestion?
Good question. So for the first one, health parameters, we tried to make sure we could control for everything we could in terms of eliminating folks who had any kind of metabolic diseases, etc. But where our glucose data was interesting, in our acute study in obese women who had nighttime eating, we actually had an increase in glucose and insulin. So that was a negative finding from an acute dose of the proteins and the carbohydrates. The interesting part was that when we followed those women after the acute study for 4 weeks of exercise training, 3 days a week, that effect was completely ameliorated. So the issues with glucose, again, exercise is key, got rid of that effect, and then only the beneficial effects remain. So exercise is important to continue on all these steps, of course, which is essentially why we're all here, right? And what was the other question?
What was the earliest and latest nighttime? Like, what was, because nighttime, what time did these subjects ingest the protein?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way that our lab handles it, we feed them a dinner, whatever that dinner is, and we wait 2 hours, and then they consume the supplement within 30 minutes of sleep. Usually this is occurring after 10 p.m. and before midnight.
Okay, and I wanted to follow up with the plant protein study that's in prep. I think that would be a great study, and I think that you might want to track blood glucose for that, since I think dairy proteins have been shown to be insulinogenic, like some research has shown that, so I think the plant protein would be kind of interesting to compare and contrast.
Good suggestion, and it's already in the methods. All right, thank you, everybody.
Keenan Robinson is currently the High Performance Director for USA Swimming. He's been on international staffs of USA Swimming since 2007. Keenan served as both the athletic trainer and strength coach for the University of Michigan.
I wanted 30 individual world records, just fell short. I wanted 40 to finish my career, but I'll probably talk about that later.
So, Michael, what have you been up to lately?
A lot. I'm really never home. We were able to accomplish this. About 30 seconds after I said that, my coach said, get back in the water and warm down. We have other races tomorrow. So that's where recovery started really coming into play. And if you look back to 2000.
All right, you guys, so I just saw this really cool presentation right there. It's called Energy Dysregulation from Obesity to Anorexia, and she was discussing kind of the hormonal dysregulation and obesity and various subtypes of anorexia like bulimia and the relatively new one, binge eating disorder. And so I thought it was really cool because I asked her some questions at the end and even got her email address. I'm going to share my video, but on cracking the obesity code, the videos that I have, I'm going to put the card up there. But she pretty much kind of echoed agreement to the fact that, first off, it's complex. And she also talked about how we need to get away from just counting calories and exercising more. And I've been saying this in my videos, and it's like the if it fits your macros crowd, that, you know, it's just what it is. You know, calorie counting. To me, it's just here's a state-of-the-art, you know, a facility, a conference, American College of Sports Medicine, and we have actual a researcher, an esteemed faculty researcher, presenting her research and research that she's you know, accumulated, and talking about how it's not as simple as calories in versus out. There's a lot of regulatory, like appetite signaling and those kinds of things, like ghrelin, leptin, neuropeptide Y. I talk about that in my videos. So use this video to go back to those if you haven't seen them yet. She actually echoed some interest in actually seeing those videos, and I will gladly send them to her. But yeah, I mean, this was an awesome presentation, and so I just wanted to share my thoughts on it and how it kind of aligns with my logic. And so with that, tune in, and we're going to keep going. All right, you guys, so we're at a poster here, and this is something I did a video on, and hopefully I can put a card on it, but this is a standardized MET, which is a metabolic equivalent unit, and it overestimates resting VO2 and underestimates energy costs running in low cardiorespiratory fitness. So what we found here is some correlations with here. So this is MET. So one MET is 3.5, okay? So now you have lower cardiorespiratory fitness, and it's 3.1. It's actually lower than what's predicted. 3.5 is actually for the people with a higher respiratory fitness. And this is a standard we use, and we're taught in exercise physiology, and there's high variability. So with that, we were discussing body mass index here, and how with low cardiorespiratory fitness, it's higher, which you would associate that with perhaps a higher body fat. And it's a lower body mass index, lower body fat with those who are higher fit. So this is Dr.
Professor Adrian Midgley.
Yeah, thank you. We were discussing this, and I actually took some pictures of some of your references on body composition. So it's a great study. And yeah, so I just wanted to share it. I've done a video on this. We're taught about the MET 3.5. We use that in a lot of equations for predicting energy expenditure or VO2 max. And so some of these values are important to, it can help us to be more precise.
And in the ACSM metabolic equations
Yeah.
which is used, isn't it?
Yeah,
The 3.5.
absolutely. So it's a great paper, and so I'm glad that you did it. So thank you.
It's sitting.
Okay, so we're coming back. We're gonna add this. So you were just please briefly explain the posture effect of how you think the standardized MET was derived in regards to posture.
Sometimes the MET is defined differently, so it might be defined as a sitting resting metabolic rate, but nearly all the research out there has assessed the MET in a lying position. So the average MET of 3.5 might be more related to sitting rather than lying resting metabolic rate.
And you said with lying it was like 3.1. It was it tends to be lower values. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's about 3.2. Sometimes the mean is even lower than 3. I think Bine was the first study that looked at this. I think their mean was about 2.6. I think.
Okay. Yeah. So sitting is. I mean, that's. I think that's the best way to measure it for sure.
Yeah.
It's more. I mean, most people don't lay down for long periods of time, and well, sleeping, of course.
Sleeping, and that's it.
Yeah, but we're usually sitting or standing.
Yeah, so we have to be careful. We have to be careful of whether we're using the MET as just a constant and it is what it is, or whether we're using it that it is actually an individual's resting metabolic rate. Because that's what we're using it for. Then how is that resting metabolic rate being assessed? Is it lying? Is it sitting?
Right.
So we're just got to be careful how we apply the MET. I think is the main take-home message.
All right, thank you. Fist pump.
It says REC. So what's that showing on the screen?
Sure, as soon as I get it right up. So right here, this V is your flexor carpi radialis. This is your forearm flexor. Right down here, that's bone that you see. The white, that's just muscle detail. And the top, that's your skin. So this is your cross section. Beautiful.
Wow.
Cool, yeah?
Yeah, very cool. Good stuff.
Great. So,
Wow, that was quick. All right, you guys, so I'm here with...
Cedar Bellows with Muscle Sound.
Okay, and you are?
I'm Cedar.
Cedar, nice to meet you. Okay, so we just did this ultrasound, muscle sound, right?
We did. Okay, so we just scanned the left and right forearms for Yvonne, and now we have his results pulled up here on the iPad. So the muscle energy status is the 48 you see here. That's on a 0 to 100 scale, and that's just a snapshot of his score. So that's a composite value of the fuel level and the fuel rating. The fuel level, you can think about that as a gas tank on a car. It's your own unique ability to hold fuel in these muscles. So it's estimating your fuel level for your left forearm to be 53 and for your right 61, and that's about in the average range as indicated by the two. And we can check out the fuel symmetry because you see it looks like there's a bigger discrepancy in fuel rating, and you wonder, okay, well, is that a bad thing? Is that in the acceptable range? And that's exactly what the fuel symmetry function answers. So it shows a 23% difference between your right and your left forearm flexors, but it is showing that fuel symmetry is in the acceptable range. And then another cool thing, you can track your data over time. So if I were to take more scans of you, you can see your historical data for each of the functions. So you can see for your muscle energy status, just in that snapshot number, but then also for your fuel level, you'd be able to see your historical data and for your fuel rating and for your fuel symmetry.
Okay.
Yeah, so then that's what we have and that's what we can tell with your scoring.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, guys, so I'm going to summarize this this amazing symposium. I'm looking at my phone because I took the notes. It was the last one of the day, and so it was about the gut microbiome. So we're looking at Bacteroidetes and Firmicutes. Now, I've talked about this in previous videos about the gut bacteria, and here it's being talked about at a prestigious annual science meeting with the leading experts in the world in this field. So an easy way to remember this gut bacteria is Bacteroidetes. Think of it as the bony bacteria. It's kind of like the bacteria that promotes leanness, or at least it's correlated with leanness. And then Firmicutes is like the fat bacteria. It's kind of correlated with, you know, obesity and that kind of thing. Now, what's interesting is, and this is new, that Bacteroidetes are good at polysaccharide metabolism. In other words, they're good at metabolizing fiber. Bacteroidetes. Firmicutes are good at sugar metabolism, but they're not very good at fiber metabolism. So here's a twofold analysis of that finding. First off, it's been shown that a plant-based diet, and it doesn't have to be vegan, okay? Okay, but I mean, vegans, it has been shown to be higher, the ratio of Bacteroidetes to Firmicutes. But the point is that what is a plant-based diet high in? Fiber, okay? Process of adaptation. You know, you are what you eat, kind of, your body's going to adapt to that. So when people talk about, oh, I can't eat this because it upsets my stomach, you know, someone who's, you know, who doesn't want to go plant-based, or they don't want to eat because it upsets their stomach, it's because you're more than likely, you have a colonization of a greater proportion of Firmicutes, and they're not very good at metabolizing fiber. So I think a short-sighted issue is people just, you know, they jump ship. Like if it causes some sort of a, you know, leaky gut or constipation or something like that, or bloating, they think, oh, you know, that's not a good diet for me. That's nonsense. It's because your gut bacteria has been conditioned to the westernized diet, eating a lot of, you know, animal protein and foods that are void of fiber. Your gut bacteria has manifested itself that way. So I have a cool little video that I'm probably going to do later. It's called Heal Your Gut to Peel Your Gut. That's a cool one, right? That's a science-based. See, I'm the guy who's got the six-pack abs, but I'm the guy who's like really cool with the science. Like I'm like beyond bro science. It's not even a shred of possibility that this is bro science. This is pro science. I just gave you cutting edge information on why some people who change over to a healthier diet, they immediately think that, you know, it's not a good thing because it causes problems. No, it's because you're responding to it adversely. So what's my advice? Wean off of your current diet and slowly add plant-based foods to your diet, and it takes trial and error, it takes experimentation, and it takes revisiting and reevaluating. So if a certain food caused an issue to you, there's lots of angles you can approach. First off, you can check the dose. You might want to drop the dose, so less of that food. Does it still cause the issue? Okay, if it does, cut the food out. If it doesn't, then you can slowly build that food up as your internal environment changes, as you gain more Bacteroidetes and less Firmicutes, okay? So that's something I want to point out, and that's kind of my interpretation of that data. So the microbial energy harvest in the large intestine, I talk about this, how there's resistant starch in beans and whatnot. Well, this kind of touches on that. So the microbial metabolites are basically short-chain fatty acids such as acetate, lactate, propionate, and butyrate. And these are what microbes produce, and butyrate in particular has been shown to be beneficial. And also, lean people excrete more of these. They excrete more of the short-chain fatty acids. So there was a little bit of it cuts both ways. So they found that people who are obese have high short-chain fatty acids, and short-chain fatty acids are supposed to be beneficial. But why are they high in obese people? Well, I think that they're not excreting as much. So it's kind of like a, you know, it's too, if you have too much, then it's going to be, you could, you know, potentially introduce some like a negative outcome, such as, you know, being like gaining weight and so forth. Whereas lean people produce an ample amount of short-chain fatty acids, but we probably eliminate more of it, okay? Oh, by the way, gut dysbiosis was associated or correlated with with leaky gut syndrome. That's an important thing to make note. Now, one of my sponsors, a really good friend of mine, he wanted to do a video on ulcerative colitis. So here's some information on that. Okay, so then there's some good evidence on, there was a cool study that looked at how exercise impacts ulcerative colitis. And what they found was, and this was an animal study, what they found was forced exercise actually made it worse. It exacerbated symptoms of ulcerative colitis, okay? Ulcerative colitis is basically an inflammatory condition of the intestines, of the colon. So what they found was voluntary exercise attenuated the symptoms of, so what that means is that when exercise is, I guess, enjoyful, when it's joyful and there's enjoyment involved and it's not being forced and we're not killing ourselves, then it's possible, very possible that so it's interesting. There could be like an affective aspect to this. We don't really know yet, but certainly exercise that a person enjoys doing seems to, at least based on this study, even though it was an animal study, seems to improve symptoms in ulcerative colitis. But so that was an interesting finding. So and that's it, guys. That's it. So I thought that was a fantastic presentation, and so we'll probably do more of these little vlog summaries because I got a lot of these notes. So tune in for those.